Rise TV, the home of joy.
Organize ourselves in such a way that Mr. Raro probably can take 3 hours, and I probably can take 2 hours, depending on how we organize ourselves.
All right. As senior counsel, before you take your seat, you know, in these COVID times, we are limiting the amount of time we are spending in a sitting like this. It is not comfortable wearing these things for 2, 3, 4, 6 hours. What about if we enlarged the length of your submissions and reduce on the time so that there is so much that is covered in writing? You are able to say even stretch it to like 50 pages, and then you have like an hour and a half to basically highlight your well-written submissions, which are more exhaustive. I truly hear what you are saying. We need to do justice to this matter. But I think it is going to be very uncomfortable for all of us, whether we are sitting in this place or in a bigger space, as I will be saying in a little while, to spend 8 hours or 6 hours in a day putting on masks, being confined in a tent or in a courtroom like this. The presidential election petition and other matters have been done in what I may call COVID-free days, when, you know, the court can sit even up to from morning till evening at night. We really don't want to be in this kind of setup for too long a time. Yes, Mr. Kanjama, we'll come to you.
My Lord, if I may just refer to what Lady Justice Mabuye mentioned.
Yes.
And to say that I have been with Senior Counsel Rengo in the Supreme Court on an election appeal, not an original election matter, gubernatorial. The Supreme Court would typically give 1 hour maximum for submissions, even with very voluminous record of appeal and submissions filed by the parties. My Lord, I would like to add that because this is a constitutional matter, it's a matter in rem, interests of parties cannot be easily sliced and diced and categorized as either supporting or opposing. There is a lot of jurisprudence in the judgment, so that the idea of giving a block of time to appellants and a block of time to respondents does not respond appropriately to the fact that each appellant and respondent may have different views on the various matters. Thirdly, because of the rules of this court, even if a party in the High Court was focused on 1 or 2 points of argument, once the judgment has been issued, a party in the Court of Appeal, by filing a notice of cross-appeal or grounds of affirmation, will be interacting with the entire judgment. And each party may have different views. So that the appropriate direction should be focused on each party, whether appellant or respondent, receiving roughly proportionate time, because they each need to deal with the various issues according to the instructions of their respective clients. And I do support the suggestion by LSK President Nelson Harvey that each party should not have more than 1 hour. 1 hour roughly, they will determine how to use that time. That is all.
Look, may I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I think I agree more with my President, Mr. Nelson Harvey, because the additional half hour that we get in the main arguments, the respondents will claim it back in reply, so that in the interest of quality of answer, each party ends up having 1.5 hours. That's my suggestion.
All right, thank you. Any other view before we leave that issue? Dr. Thiengolu, then, oh sorry, okay, you're on your feet. It's okay. Okay.
He says I can go ahead, my Lord.
Yes.
My Lord, while still on the issue of time, I think for me the considerations are as follows. Number one, this is arguably the most important litigation of our lifetimes. I've had comparisons with the presidential election petition, but if I had my senior Jimmy Orengo, This is about the constitution of Kenya, and it's about the posterity of Kenya. So in my view, although there is a genuine case for limiting the time, we shouldn't box ourselves into a corner that says it is 1 hour, it is 2 hours, as though what is at stake is the time and not the future of Kenya. So if the petitioners, or rather the appellants, want 3 hours, in my view, subject to an equality of arms, it is not too much to ask, in my view, for a case that is arguably the most important case of our lifetimes. The only thing I would suggest, my Lord, I think the reason we're having all this back and forth is we have boxed ourselves into the 3 or 4 days that the court gave as an indication. And I would urge the court to consider, is it possible to have, say, the 3 or 4 days in 1 week for the appellants and 3 or 4 days in the next week for the respondents, and then a direction that says those 3 or 4 days the appellants must go and conference amongst themselves and know how to share the time, and in the other week, the 3 or 4 days, the respondents will conference amongst themselves and communicate to the court how they plan to share that time. I know, of course, this court is very stretched in terms of its human resources, but then again, it must be recognized that this is arguably the most important case that will ever be argued in our courts in our lifetime. As regards the physical space, again, I think it's a matter where we can be flexible. The state has no shortage of resources. I was just whispering to my senior, Paul Mwang here. We have even a facility here at KICC. We can set up a temporary court there, gazette it specifically for this, and then we can assuage some of these concerns about,
I will address that in a little while. Just limit yourself to the issue of the time, then I'll come to that.
So, my Lord, I was saying 3 or 4 hours that they request, they're just 4 appellants. To me, it's reasonable, given the magnitude of what is at stake. It's about how Kenya is governed in the long term. The only right there is, if you give them the 3 hours, then be mindful to give us, as the respondents, an equal amount of time that is fair. Remembering we'll be responding to all of them, not necessarily to one of them, even if the cases are merged.
All right.
Can I say something, Madam?
Yes, Dr. Aminu?
Yeah. Madam, I do appreciate what Madam said about wearing masks. It's very uncomfortable. I find it very uncomfortable. I would suggest that the best way out of this is to increase the number of pages that each party can submit to 20 pages or 30 pages, you could probably increase it even to 40, and then you are able to shorten the time you are directing the court. Perhaps I may add, my Lord, it's not only Kenya that is interested in this judgment. In fact, from what I've heard and seen and so on, the international community is very much interested in this case. They would like to see what you have to say and so on. So it's fair that we are each party is given enough time to be able to address the exhaustively. And the only way we can get out of this problem with the COVID around 13 all of us is to allow us to put in more pages, probably 40 pages or even 50 pages, and then we can shorten the number of hours or the number of things to be.
All right, thank you very much. We are going to...
With your kind permission.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Edgar Busiega. I just wish to go on record.
Hello, Jimmy. Wanjirire no one mundu ngiturehera macini tondu muthuri ucio watumirwo hindi wengi okire na kindu mwari utangigotha kihike gwe agiuka na speaker agirite thani thaburia mathiko ni marucio riu tutigathikana tutigathikana nĩguo twara ũkũri tutigathikana na andũ acio mũraiga nĩ mwamanĩte deposit na tondũ rĩu mũndũ ũcio ndĩramũhũrĩra thimũ na ndarawena nĩ mwamanĩte macini-inĩ na mathiko nĩ rũciũ rĩ mũrona ta tũgeka atĩa rĩu mũbangĩte tũgacamba andũ acio othe magoka kũu mũbangĩte tũgacamba ĩhĩ mũndũ ũcio ndĩramũhũrĩra thimũ araria ũrĩa kwenda na ndiramenya ũrĩa tũgwĩka na mathiko nĩ rũciũ haro mũhũrĩre mathiko nĩ rũciũ utanjĩra kana mathiko tũtigeka tondũ wa macini ai hanini nyambe njari na mũkũri no wĩ haha hanini no tafadhali mathiko nĩ rũciũ na nĩ tũrabatara nginya macini
mũrũ nĩkĩ gĩa kũrakaria ũguo
ndaitĩra iguo ndĩ mũrakaru mũno rũciũ kwĩna mathiko na gũkũ mũciĩ tafadhali ndũkahunjĩri thaa ici
ona tikĩhunjio ndĩiguo gĩtangĩka nĩkĩ
mathiko mekuo rũciũ na tũrabatara macini kĩharo mũndũ ũrĩa tũrathika mũciĩ nĩ mũndũ ũrarĩ na kĩ na ngumo rĩu twathirie mũndũ ũngĩ maikrofoni ingĩ hau na macini atũrehire maikrofoni nginya warikaga ũguo mahiga makauma na already mũndũ nĩ ahetwo mbeca cia macini agatĩra na hĩndĩ ĩyo ĩngĩ endetio macini
narĩ korwo nĩ tũronanĩte nawe mbere
nĩkĩ
aiaiaiaiaiai gũkĩrĩ kũndũ ndateithĩkire mũno na andũ mangĩgũteithia biũ
hau nĩ ndona gatatũ tũrateithania rĩu
kũndũ ũngĩteithĩka biũ ngũkũhe namba yao nginya thaa ici
atĩrĩrĩ
mena macini ciothe
macini
njega biũ
tondũ kũrĩa tũrabangĩra gwĩkĩra mathiko rĩ nĩ kĩharo kĩega kĩnene ũguo kĩnene
marehaga macini harĩa ũrĩ mena macini cia ũthoni cia iruga inene cia mathiko ta mau mwĩnamo igongona o rĩothe ũngĩkorwo wĩnarĩo nĩ marĩ itanakũhe namba nĩ kambuni njega mũno ti atĩ nĩ andũ o ũguo nĩ andũ mena nginya kambuni nene biũ ĩtagwo Nice Media Services nĩ kambuni ici cia mũndũ kĩũmbe ũrehagĩrwo ũguo nĩ andũ mangĩgũteithia
atĩrĩrĩ tũtanathiĩ mũno rĩ no cioneke rũciũ
ti rũciũ ngũkũhe namba yao oro rĩu wĩna thimũ nyita andĩka 07 28 7 88 6 rikia na gĩbũgũ
mũgwanja
ĩyo
igĩrĩ inyanya
ĩyo
mũgwanja inyanya ithathatũ na ithathatũ
tũkũre mena macini ciothe nginya MC menake hau ũkareherwo nginya na mbei nĩ bacĩrĩre ona ũtambĩte gũtũma ona kĩ mwarie nao macini ũgacikora hau ũguo hũra thimũ ĩyo
tondũ nĩwahe namba rĩ reke nyambe hũre thimũ na mũciĩ
hũra
Nice Media Services aheani a motungata ma public address system mena packages ta silver package, bronze package, gold package na platinum package o kũringana na mabataro ma igongona rĩaku ũrĩa rĩigana na thĩinĩ wa package icio ciothe hena backup generator oho nĩ maheanaga motungata ma ũmemerekia wa ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe kũhetũkĩra nenda-inĩ nĩyo live streaming hahoro makĩria hũra thimũ namba kĩbũgũ mũgwanja igĩrĩ inyanya mũgwanja inyanya inyanya ithathatũ ithathatũ kĩbũgũ 0728 788 660
ndateithĩka mũno mũkũrindo ũhana mũrenda kaithangio
Nice Media Services quality powerful nice sound is our priority.
To hear the appeal. And so you can see that we cannot sit 7 of us here and keep the COVID-19 protocol. So we need a bigger space. And arrangements have been made to pitch a tent within the court premises outside the Chief Justice's gardens with the permission of the Chief Justice so that if we agree that we are going to do this matter in that way where there is physical appearance, there will be adequate space for counsel and for judges. But we can also agree that we conduct the hearing virtually. I know from the correspondence that I've seen from most of you, and we know there are challenges when it comes to virtual hearings. Connectivity, sometimes Wi-Fi may not be working. We are not able to hear one another well. So I want to quickly hear your views on that before the court makes a final decision. Of course, today we are doing it in a dual manner where we are here, others are seated in a courtroom next to this courtroom, and there are many Kenyans who are following it from the comfort of their rooms because we have sent out a link. May I quickly hear your views regarding the mode of hearing that we should have? Senior Counsel, Mr. Oraro.
On the part of AG, we suggest that we have a physical hearing, and with the permission of the Chief Justice, we can proceed with the idea of having that hearing.
On our part, physical hearing, and I think on the part of the premises proposed, we're quite happy with that space.
Okay.
We agree with what the senior counsel said. Physical, in-person hearing.
In-person hearing.
I will try to hearing cannot.
Sorry? Sorry?
Try to hearing cannot hearing.
Okay.
My Lord, we are happy to associate ourselves with the sentiments of our colleagues.
Okay, in-person hearing, yes. Yeah.
My Lord, we are quite happy with the directors. Part of the request we have made to our letter, so we are happy with the physical hearing.
Thank you. In-person, okay. Any other alternative view?
My Lord, my ladies, I like the approach you've adopted today.
Yes.
I think you may find that because the hearing is going to take a substantial period of time, some of the parties may want to have the option, especially when they are not scheduled to address the courts, to be present virtually. So I propose a hybrid hearing where the parties who will be addressing the courts can preferably be present physically, and those other parties who want to be present physically, but the parties also be given the option,
yes,
especially because the hearing will take a long period of time,
yes,
to occasionally appear virtually. So the way we have set up today, we set up that way for the main hearing. That's my proposal.
All right, thank you. Any other suggestion?
Yes, my Lord, I think we should go throughout the week adjustment suggesting. The only thing I would add is that we should take care of the bandwidth, because you don't need to be a prophet to know that when that time comes, there will be very many people logging in on the virtual platform. And from the experience with the ECO, there was a lot of trouble because of the traffic. So I think the administrative officers of the court should have that in mind.
Thank you for that suggestion. All right, I think that is sorted, and thank you very much. We have said that about the number of...
Can I ask a question to the council? How would you feel if some of the 7 judges decided to hear the matter virtually? Because of the same concerns.
Unless you mean that some of the judges will be sitting at home and others from...
Yes.
I think that we leave for the judges to determine on our part. I think we'll have no issue.
The only problem I think is that as I have seen or experienced, there are always text for problems. Can you hear? Can you hear? And you would more. Whereas if we come for physical hearing, we can dispose of these matters.
All right.
The only problem with that is when there's an issue, the judges would want to make a matter arise in the middle of the proceedings, and if any number of judges are not in person, it can get pretty complicated. You need to look on call. But when you sit in person, it's easier even within the court
Thank you, Senior Counsel.
And my Lord, this may be out of order, but there's a question of perception that may get out there if some of the judges are present physically and some of them are present virtually, given the public interest in this matter. I would not be surprised if there's some citizens there who would think that the judges who are hearing virtually are not actually present and whatnot. I think it's a small sacrifice that we can make. In any event, I think how the court will arrange, the judges are in a fairly well isolated area from the rest of us. So I would suggest if it's possible, all the judges should be physically present, just because of the optics of administration of justice.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, just hold on, just hold on.
Yeah, so the hybrid arrangement is not going to be new. We have already touched base with it. And what we normally do in such a situation is that we have an in-house arrangement for consultation. We adjourn, go and consult with those who are around and those who are far. The situation that we find ourselves in, especially for those who are falling in the vulnerable age group, is of concern to all of us. And as you are aware, there is no hardware or a spare part for a human body. So we address the concerns of each and every person. We are open. Those who are willing to come and appear the way we have appeared, fine. And whoever will want and say, I will say, we use the same, the way we have been reaching out to some of the advocates who are appearing before us online.
All right. Thank you very much, my sister. Savi?
My ladies and my daughter, I'm not very old, but my very few years in practice has taught me many. Let's simulate the model that was used by the Judicial Service Commission when they were doing interviews the other day. And the fear that Dr. Mudome Nkulu is alluding to, it is not in the realm of conjecture. Assuming that a judge is appearing virtually from his or her house, how are we to know? I'm sorry to say, but I must say this, because we experienced this before the Judicial Service Commission whilst handling a matter for a judge. And all of a sudden, a commissioner was getting instructions from somebody else. So that that perception, we're not saying that this will happen, but perception is very important. For that reason, unless there is a reason as to why a judge ought not to appear physically, the public interest is in this matter be conducted in the public.
All right, thank you, Council, for all your views in that regard. I want to move to another area, possible hearing dates, so that we give comprehensive directions, and by the time we leave here, we are not going to impose dates that are very difficult for council and parties. Although we are going to conference and make the final decision on the number of days that we are going to allow the appellants to put in their submissions, their respondents, and their reply, you can see that if we are in the beginning of the month of June, it will take us to the earliest we can begin the proceedings The earliest we can begin the proceedings is, say, around the 23rd of the month. So I would like to ask you to look at your respective diaries.
My Lord, if I may, very, very kindly, allow us to save the court's time so that we do not rehash the very long submissions about timing. And we've all said this case is very important. Once the court retires and decides how much time to give the parties, I think we can all trust the court to assign dates and be clear on that. Because if we start choosing dates now, we will be reaching the same arguments about how much time we need.
Thank you. Well, I was just going to give a time indication. Thank you. Well, I was just going to give a time indication, not a specific date, to say that the hearing will have to be towards the end of the month and early July, so that within that time period, you do not crowd your diaries. All right? That's the only indication I was going to give, so that we bear that in mind as we fix a date. Thank you, Mr. Kanjama. Lastly, there is an issue that was raised by Mr. Cheng Dudley. I don't want us to open this issue for much the discussion of the court to speak much on it. But I want us to conduct these proceedings with the dignity that is required. Let us be civil. Let us respect one another. Let us be balanced in our comments. Let us realize that we have an important judicial process that must be handled in a very sober manner, and let us not begin to, as it were, prosecute or defend our respective positions outside there in the media. Please allow the court to make a fair, properly informed decision without unnecessary attacks, comments by all concerned. I think that's all I want to say for now.
Mogithi edition goko kwa Nice TV mushi wa gikeno. Ikora hera niye wairumu wa gatwire with my one and only DJ
Frankie. Ngiko hera mutukani wa nyimbo mwaki cia hau gabere ona ningi cia kiriu. Kuma wathie soni egeshani gitire onge haleria. Thutha ucio ndicokagia mwaro kwi wairimu wa gatwire haria
ndikurehagira one man guitar uria rikuringithagiria nyimbo gi proper
Jona tuvirwa thieni neve kuujiria ndwaro hwega na wamenya horo iverire Oye ikorera mami ikorera
aya ikorera mami ikorera Gitanagira na ithwe o muthi wa wakana kuma thaa 9:30 cia hwaini nginya thaa 11 cia hwaini
tutigicemanie kuo.
Attacks, comments by all concerned. I think that's all I want to say for now. And I think we will.
Hello, Jimmy. Wajirire no na mundu ngiturehera macini tondu muthuri ucio watumirwo hindi wengi okire na kindu mwari utangigotha kihike gwe agioka na speaker agirite thani thaburia mathiko ni ma rucio tutigathikana nigu twara ukuri tutigathikana na andu acio muraiga ni mwamanite deposit na tondu riu mundu ucio ndiramuhurira thimu na ndarawena ni mwamanete macini na mathiko ni rucio ri mundu atatugeka atia riu mubangite tugacamba andu acio othe magoka kuu mubangite tugacamba mundu ucio ndiramuhurira thimu araria uria kwenda na ndiramenya uria tugwika na mathiko ni rucio. Hello, muhurire mathiko ni rucio utanjira ka mathiko tutigeka tondu wa macini. Ai hanini nyambe njari na mukurino wi haha hanini no tafadhali mathiko ni rucio na ni turabatara nginya macini
muru niki gia kurakaria ugo
ndaitare igwo ndi murakaru muno rucio kwina mathiko na guko mucie tafadhali ndukahunjiri thaa ici
ona tikihunjio ndeigwo gitangika niki
mathiko mekuo rucio na turabatara macini kiharo mundu uria turathika mucie ni mundu urari na ki na ngumo riu twathirie mundu ungi microphone ingi hau na macini aturehire microphone nginya warikaga uguo mahiga makauma na already mundu ni ahetwo pesa cia macini agatira na hindi wengi endetio macini
na riko ni turonanite nawe mbere
niki
ai gukiri kundu ndateithikire muno na andu mangiguteithia piu
hau ni ndona ngata turateithania riu
kundu ngiteithika piu ngukuhe namba ya nginya thaa ici
atiriri
mena macini ciothe
macini njega
piu
tondu kuria turabangira gwikira mathiko ri ni kiharo kiega kinene uguo kinene
marehaga macini haria uri mena macini cia uthoni cia iruga inene cia mathiko ta mau mwinamo igongona o riothe ungikorwo winario ni mari itana kwa namba ni kambuni njega muno ti ati ni andu uguo ni andu mena nginya kambuni nene piu etagwo Nice Media Services ni kambuni tisi cia mundu kiumbere hagirwo uguo ni andu mangiguteithia
atiriri tutanathie muno ri no cioneke rucio
ti rucio ngukwe namba 7 88 6 likia na gifugu
mugwanja
iyo
igiri inyanya
iyo
mugwanja inyanya ithathatu
mena macini ciothe nginya MC menake hau ukareherwo nginya na bei ni bacirire ona utambite gutuma ona ki mwarie nao macini ugacikora hau uguo hura thimu yo
tondu ni wahe namba ri reke nyambe hure thimu na muci
hura.
Nice Media Services, aheani a motungata ma public address system mena packages ta silver package, bronze package, gold package na platinum package o kurigana na mabataro ma igongona riaku uria reigana. Na thiini wa package icio ciothe hena backup generator. Oho ni maheanaga motungata ma umemerekia wa emwe kwa emwe kuhitukira nenda-ini niyo live streaming. Hahoro makiria hura thimu namba 0728 78